Well, happy Friday evening. Thanks for joining us for Unscripted here on Up North Live as we round out the week. We're looking ahead to some sunshine this weekend. We've been talking about it throughout the week. Now, Joe, you said Saturday really is that golden day for some sunshine. I think a lot of us are looking forward to this.
I'll tell you what, I've never hoped for a forecast to come more true than tomorrow, because we've been promising all week that we're going to get some sunshine. It better happen tomorrow, but we do think that. I know it's cloudy right now. I want to start, though. These are the weather headlines. Now, I normally show you this, and it's filled with colors and different warnings and advisories. The reason I'm showing you this is because we don't have any. None out there, which is good. By the way, you might say, well, what about up at Marquette? That's a heavy freezing spray advisory for vessels out of the Great Lakes. But it's quiet. We have had a little snow and some clouds. You can see a couple of areas here, one in the Straits. We had another band of snow that's kind of falling apart right here. I do think, though, that most of the snow will end by midnight. And then later in the night tonight, that's when we'll gradually see a little bit of clearing and a little warm up as well. The last time Traverse City was above freezing, for example, was back on the 14th of the month. We're looking at, I don't think we're going to get that warm, but we will stay in the 20s heading into next week as early as Sunday. So not quite as cold next week. We'll have much more on that forecast coming up a little later in the show.
All right. Thanks for that, Joe. Sticking with weather, we've seen dangerously low temperatures here in northern Michigan for the last week or so, but we're going to head even farther north for our next story, where temperatures are drastically colder than we've seen here in northern Michigan. Andrew Havich is a former teacher from Traverse City who made the move to Kobuk, Alaska, and is now a school principal there. Get this, though. It has been negative 64 degrees Fahrenheit there. That's not with the wind chill. That's the actual temperature. No water for 2 weeks with frozen pipes. Andrew tells us that school's also been closed 7 days in a row. And it is considered one of the coldest places in Alaska right now, probably in the Northern Hemisphere. Andrew joins us tonight to chat all things cold weather. Andrew, greetings from Traverse City and Northern Michigan.
Welcome to Kobuk.
Yes, thank you for making. I know that there is a 4-hour difference right now.
Yes.
Okay, so what time is it by you?
Let's see here, 2:30.
2:30. Okay, we're and that makes sense. We're about 6:30 right now. So I want to just get to the fact that, we've been saying how cold it's been here in northern Michigan. We're seeing negative temperatures in the negative degrees and, of course, with wind chill. But what is the current temperature where you are right now?
Well, it's warmed up dramatically. It's up to 16 degrees today, and that's like T-shirt weather and shorts.
Wow, that's a little bit of a heat wave from what you've been seeing. What has the temperature? What are the temperatures been like prior to the 15 degrees?
Starting last week, we had a dramatic warm up. It's been anywhere into the low single digits to the just low single digit negatives. But prior to that, we went 94 consecutive days with no temperature above freezing and maybe even nothing above zero.
And describe to me, Andrew, in a day when that happens, what is your typical day like? Obviously, school is canceled, right?
We do not cancel school because of temperature.
Okay.
I make that call, but I've not canceled it because of temperature. Unfortunately, we were closed for 8 days here right after Christmas break because it was negative 71 one day. It was negative 50s, negative 70. And our water was actually froze for 3 weeks, and so I had no choice but to close school. But we don't close school because of temperature or weather unless we have a flood, which we had earlier in the year, because we're prepared for it. Kids come to school dressed warm enough. They don't have to walk very far. Up to a third of a mile is the farthest walk. And if it gets too cold, I deliver them to school in my snow machine. I'll go pick them up.
Oh my goodness, you've got it all covered. So if you know that they need a ride or to be picked up, you're there to make it happen.
That's right. They just call the school and I come get them.
Okay, so when temperatures are, you said negative 70?
Yes.
Okay, what does that feel like? I mean, I can't even imagine stepping outside and that coldness just hitting your face.
Well, simple things like forgetting to keep your glove on when you touch the doorknob. it's like touching a hot pan on the oven. It will burn your fingers. And I made that mistake once, didn't do it again. For example, one day I came in from hunting so I could have dinner, and I set my gun down, took my gloves off, and I picked it up and I burned my hand. So really things that you wouldn't think of in Michigan at the temperatures, even negative 10, 20 is not like negative 50, 60, 70. So you got to be smart on your feet.
Yeah. Do you notice too, like, do you feel do you feel tired? Do you feel like, your body kind of wants to go into almost like hibernation mode, or?
For me, I go the opposite direction. The colder it gets, the more I move to keep warm. And I enjoy the cold, although I will have to say when it gets past negative 50, that's even cold for me. But I don't lose the energy so much. I kind of gain it. If I get too warm, that's when I get tired.
Do you find that when it does get cold like that, you tend to go outside more often? You mentioned that you go hunting, that, you're outdoors a lot.
When you do go outdoors, you got to make sure you are dressed appropriately and properly. Layers of clothing, like we all know to do, as well as nothing cotton. And the key is never to break a sweat. If you break a sweat here in the Arctic and something happens where you're maybe immobile for more than, say, just a few minutes, that sweat will freeze to your body and you can be in trouble in a hurry.
Do you have any pets? Like, I'm thinking dogs who go outside with you or anything like that?
I do this year, but when I was here back in 1998, 1999 as a teacher, I had my dog here, and she grew more fur on her feet than I've ever seen. She looked kind of like I don't know, she was like a rabbit with fur all over their feet.
That's
but
good.
There are pets here in town that are outdoors 24/7, and they survive it. I don't know how. I just marvel at seeing animals like ptarmigan and moose and caribou that are out here enjoying the weather. They don't seem to mind it.
They're naturally built for that. They can handle that. That's their environment, really.
Yes.
What would you want people to know too? Because I know, we've been this past week and a half saying, oh, it's so cold and the temperatures are dangerously cold. When you say it's cold by you, do you think that's more of an opportunity to embrace the weather, to get outside?
Living in Michigan pretty much my whole life and experiencing some cold weather there, I just enjoy the cold. It's time to go out skiing. It's time to get outside and have fun and either embrace it or, it's a long time, a lot of months of sitting inside. I don't like to sit still.
And I have to ask too about the pipes. I know we talked earlier, like if the pipes in the school are frozen, what about in your own home? How do you tackle that? How do you make sure things around your house are stable?
Well, that's a great question. Well, I came home to Michigan, to Traverse City over winter break. I was home for about a week. I came back to the water lines frozen and the water drains frozen in the school and in my home and all the teacher housing. So I had no ability to take a shower for 18 days. So you get creative. I could get water from the river if I needed. I could ask someone for buckets of water, put it on the stove, heat it up so I got a hot washcloth. But I'll tell you, I don't think I've ever been so happy to take a shower as I was after 18 days without one.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So like you said, you have to get creative. You got to find other ways to get around this. If you have frozen pipes, you don't have water, other ways to work around it and make do. As far as food goes, do you try to stock up on certain foods that'll keep energy up?
I eat caribou or ptarmigan every single day. And of course I'll have some rice or maybe some pasta, but it's caribou and pasta or in ptarmigan because that's what we have outside for you to go and fetch up.
And anything else that you'd like to let us know that you find, completely different, or something that, from living in northern Michigan to now being in Alaska where you are to, or maybe some similarities that you see, especially with this weather?
Well, one of the things that I don't hear people complain about the weather. When I came in the summer, there were some days where it was 80 degrees. And they don't really complain about the weather. I think when you live in such an extreme environment, you cherish the days that are just right. Mm-hmm. And so, if you live in Michigan, you should like snow. If you don't, you might want to consider moving to the south. But I enjoy it up here, and I know the people up here have been really appreciative of my efforts and understanding that you have to be prepared.
Incredible. Andrew, thank you. We send you warm wishes from Northern Michigan here in Traverse City specifically. Thank you for taking the time. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Again, Andrew Habich talking about his time in Alaska. He used to live in Traverse City, now living in Alaska as a school principal there with temperatures in negative 70 some degrees. That brings us to our question of the day for Unscripted. We want to know, what's the coldest air temperature you have ever experienced? Go to our Facebook page, Up North Live, and our website, upnorthlive.com. Leave your comments. You can also scan that QR code right there on your screen. We'll check those responses, as we always do, coming up a little bit later in the show to see what that coldest temperature is you have ever experienced. The Alpena community is taking advantage of this winter weather in northern Michigan. Mishkiwawish Park has been turned into an outdoor skating destination. Here's WBKB 11's Matt Velez.
I'm standing here at Michikiwas Park, and for the third year in a row, it is going to turn into an outdoor ice rink destination. Come to find out that it takes more than a cold night and a garden hose to get this rink ready for the public. The transformation began weeks ago with the first heavy snow. Before a single gallon of water hit the grass, crews had to prepare the foundation.
After the first snow, we went over with our vehicles and we packed down the snow base. Takes about an hour just driving back and forth. Basically, we need to pack the frost down in the ground so that when we start spraying water, it doesn't freeze.
Once that frozen base was set, the Alpena Fire Department turned the park into a training ground. Instead of a traditional drill, firefighters use the rink to get a little practice in.
We just take a fire truck down. We use it as training for firefighter training, for truck driving training, for pump training. We go down, we spray 1,000 gallons, maybe once or twice a day, and flood the rink. It's all in the name of training and fun.
But flooding the rink is only half the battle. To keep the surface smooth through Michigan snowstorms, it requires a Johnny-on-the-spot response from multiple city departments.
Every time I ask, hey, can you go brush it off? Can you go plow it out to make sure that people can use it? They're right there, Johnny on the spot. So it's definitely a team effort.
Now, city officials do want to remind that if there is snow on the rink, it could take up to 24 hours to clear the snow. But for now, the rink is smooth and ready for skating. Reporting in Alpena, Matt Velez, WBKB 11 News.
All right, thanks for that, Matt. Well, we might see some sunshine, probably not today, of course, but tomorrow could be a golden day filled with some of that vitamin D. Joe has all the details on a sunny Saturday coming up.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
I'm Dee Dee Gatton with the National News Desk in Washington, D.C., and this is your news update. The DOJ announcing the arrest of 4 more people in connection to the Minnesota church protest in St. Paul last week. Among those arrested, former CNN anchor Don Lemon and a local independent journalist. Lemon says it was his First Amendment right to cover the protest at the church as a journalist. The Trump administration argues that places of worship are not a public forum for protests. And preventing infestation, Governor Greg Abbott signs a new disaster declaration to prepare for the New World screwworm that could soon spread into Texas from Mexico. The USDA is partnering with Texas to create a facility in hopes of sterilizing the population of the screwworm fly to eradicate the pest. Plus, breaking the violent gang network. That is the message FBI Director Kash Patel is sending as he announced the arrest of 50 Latin Kings gang members. 13 FBI field offices joined in the operation that also seized more than 10 kilos of narcotics and $200,000 in assets. And that's your news update.
The National News Desk can be seen on ABC 29 and 8 on Saturday night and 11:30 and Sundays at midnight. Well, welcome back to Unscripted here on Up North Live. Sunshine on a Saturday sounds like the perfect day, Joe. That's what we can expect for tomorrow. At least we've been talking about this for quite some time now.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me, Melissa, to deliver on that sunshine tomorrow. I will tell you, though, unlike your guest where we had, they had 70 below up in Alaska, it wasn't that cold, but it was cold last night. Here's a look at our low temperatures early this morning. Grayling did get down to 28 below zero last night. Houghton Lake and Pellston, both 18 below. Cadillac, 19 below zero. So it was certainly a cold one, as expected, and just about everybody had sub-zero temperatures last night. Right now, we're in the single digits here as we approach 7 o'clock. Gaylord 11, 14 right now in Petoskey. It's not going to be as cold tonight. I think most spots probably staying above zero. Earlier, we had some snow here, a little bit still coming down. This is outside of our studios, just west of Traverse City. That's Highway M72 there in the background. 17 degrees, not much wind out there. Do snow showers. Most of these will end later tonight after midnight, and then tomorrow, again, we hope to get some clearing where we have clear skies up here that will gradually progress on a northeast wind into northern Michigan. But there's this little trough, this black dotted line right here, that has kicked up some snow showers. Kind of 2 areas of snow. We had a band right here that kind of dropped through. It's kind of falling apart. And then another one in the Straits area. So here's a look at some of that light snow near Gaylord, between there and Grayling, all the way out to Lake Michigan. And then another band of snow here in Mackinac County. So if you're there in St. Agnes right now, some snow coming down. If you're on Beaver Island, you're about to get some snow, not too far coming in from the north this evening there. But we're not looking at much additional accumulation. I kind of went by that kind of quick here. Yeah, right near the lakeshore, another inch or two. And again, that should be before midnight. And then after that, we have a dry weekend coming up. So there's the snow currently. Gets pushed offshore tonight. And then the skies start to break up. Clear skies by tomorrow afternoon. So some sunshine is expected. Of course, hand in hand with that will be dry weather. No snow tomorrow. And then Sunday, a little more cloud cover. We'll see, we probably get these low clouds Saturday night, and then we'll see if we can break some of these up Sunday. Probably a little more cloud cover Sunday. And then Monday is our next system with a little snowfall, some snow showers Monday, right there. So next week, Monday, and then the end of the week as well. Looks like a pretty quiet week overall, but then here we are Friday, more snow rolls in toward the end of the week. We'll see if this is how this plays out. Timing could change, but thoughts are right now some snow next Friday and then some colder weather back in the forecast next weekend. Tonight, 0 to 17, any snow ends by midnight. We could see a couple below zero readings right near the Canadian border. Some late night clearing. And tomorrow on Saturday, mostly sunny, which we have not said in some time. And that's not just for one area. This is for all of northern Michigan tomorrow. Sunny skies, highs in the upper teens to around 20. Kalkaska, 18 degrees there. Clare, Harrison, 22, 18 for Houghton Lake, Roscommon, Lake City, and also Cadillac. Tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. All right, looking ahead through next Friday, a couple things to take away. The nice weekend, some snow on Monday, snow showers at least, which is Groundhog Day. And then next Friday, some snow rolls in as well. Temperatures, though, next week a little bit warmer than they have been, mainly holding in the 20s.
All right, thanks for that, Joe. Coming up, Sports Director Harrison Beebe will get us ready for another Friday night of hometown highlights. Stay with us. Welcome back to Unscripted here on Up North Live. Sports Director Harrison Beebe is out in the snow covering games for Hometown Highlights, which will be coming up tonight at 11. But he's sharing with us a little preview of tonight's lineup and a huge game going into the Big Ten.
We are counting down a tip-off for our final edition of Hometown Highlights for the month of January, and hopefully our final edition where these temperatures feel like they're in the single digits. Huge quadruple header of basketball games coming your way tonight during Up North Live News at 11, headlined by the top-ranked girls basketball team throughout the state in Division III. That would be the McBain Ramblers. The Ramblers at home taking on the Manton Rangers, a good little matchup in the Highland Conference. We're going to put the spotlight on the Ski Valley. We know East Jordan leads the league in the standings, a perfect record in conference. The Red Devils on the road at Forest area. And then up the road from them, Mansalona is at home against Gaylord St. Mary. And then between the two, we're also stopping in Kalkaska as the Blazers host Boyne City in a Northern Shores boys basketball game. So all those games coming up tonight during your January 31st edition of Hometown Highlights. Of course, when we're talking basketball, we're talking the big one at the Breslin Center tonight, 8 o'clock tip-off, Michigan State and Michigan. The Wolverines ranked number 3 in the nation. The Spartans ranked number 7 in the nation. This is the highest these two teams have ever been ranked in a matchup against each other in both programs' history. And more worth noting for Michigan fans, they haven't won at the Breslin Center since 2018. We've got a Michigan team that's 19-1 overall, 9-1 in conference. Michigan State 19-2. Spartans are also 9-1 in conference. Those two are tied with Nebraska. Last time these two won conference titles, it was last year. The Spartans won the regular season league title. The Wolverines won the Big Ten tournament conference championship. Last time Michigan won in the regular season for the Big Ten, you got to go back to 2021. But we also know these guys are eyeing March and the chance to play in April in the Final Four. Spartans, it's been a bit of a drought, 7 years since their last Final Four in 2019. Michigan, you have to go back 1 year before that in 2018. I'll do it for sports. I'm Harrison Beebe.
All right. Thanks, Harrison. We'll take a look at those live results for our question of the day coming up right after this.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
What is the coldest temperature you have ever experienced? We're going to check out our results right now on the poll. You can see some of the options there: 0 to -10. Only 4% say that. 34% say -11 to -25. -28 or below, 62%. Here are some of the responses on our Facebook page. Barb says -45 when I lived in Alaska in 94. Barb also says -27 on the Homestead Road in Beulah just a few years ago. Jackie says -43 in Roundup, Montana in February. Beth says when we lived near Willow, Alaska, the temps would sometimes dip to about -60 degrees. Most days it was only about 30 degrees below zero. Bill says I was in near -60 degrees about 35 years ago, and it was sure enough pretty cold right now, though. Thanks for all of the comments. Of course, we'll hopefully see you back here at 11. Until then, have a great night.